In the chaos of Civil War combat, survival came down to seconds. Soldiers bit open paper cartridges with their teeth, tearing through powder and pain to load their rifles. Each bite meant bloodied lips, foul powder, and another chance to kill before being killed. This was the brutal rhythm of battle, a small violence done to oneself to unleash greater violence on the enemy. The war was fought one desperate bite at a time. Before we continue, be sure to like and subscribe to support the community. Whether wearing the blue of the Union or the gray of the Confederacy, the Civil War soldier endured the thunderous chaos of combat, armed primarily with a muzzle-loading rifle musket. In the smoke-choked carnage of Gettysburg's wheat field, the brutal close-quarters killing along Antietam's sunken road, or the claustrophobic fighting in Spotsylvania's dense thickets, every frantic reload demanded one critical, intimate motion, biting the tip off a paper cartridge. His survival hinged on sheer speed. These cartridges were compact paper tubes, about the size of a lipstick. One end contained a conical minie ball, a soft lead projectile infamous for its devastating wounds. The rest held a carefully measured portion of coarse black powder, its contents secured by a twisted paper seal. This prepackaged system enabled the rapid volleys that defined infantry warfare, a soldier's only hope amid the fury of battle. But why use teeth? Why risk igniting powder near one's face amid a hail of bullets? The answer was grim necessity, pure, unrelenting speed. On those deadly fields, living another minute meant reloading faster than the enemy charging through the cornfields or storming over a stone wall. A moment's hesitation could mean death before the next breath, or watching your comrades break under enemy fire. Loading was a precise ritual, pouring powder, seating the bullet, ramming it down, placing a percussion cap, cocking the hammer, and finally firing. The cartridge brilliantly combined bullet and powder, but the powder had to be exposed instantly. Biting was the fastest, surest method under the deafening stress of combat. Amid the thunder of Fredericksburg's cannons or the close-quarters horror of Spotsylvania's muleshoe salient, hands trembled from exhaustion, terror, or the concussive force of nearby explosions. Fingers grew stiff in winter's chill, numb from gripping the rifle, slick with sweat in summer heat, or coated in mud and blood. Ripping the tough paper with weakened fingers could be impossible, a fatal delay. Teeth, however, delivered one swift, decisive bite. It was a crude but reliable motion, far less vulnerable than fine motor skills under the distorting effects of adrenaline. The sequence burned into muscle memory: bite, pour, ram, cap, fire. This method wasn't invented in the 1860s. It evolved from decades of rigid drill with earlier smoothbore muskets, a discipline instilled in soldiers from the Revolution to the Mexican-American War. Recruits, drilling endlessly on dusty parade grounds from Massachusetts to Georgia, repeated the motions until they became instinct, even amid the nightmare of Shiloh's opening hours. For Confederate troops, however, this life-saving act took on a sinister twist. A vicious rumor spread through Southern ranks, fueled by inflammatory newspapers like the Charleston Mercury, and even some officers eager to stoke fury. Union cartridges, the story claimed, were laced with poison or quicklime. Biting one would supposedly make a man's mouth blister and rot, leading to an excruciating death, a deliberate terror tactic preying on fear and wartime paranoia. Though entirely false, the myth had real consequences. At Chickamauga, some Confederates scavenging Union ammunition from the dead carefully cut cartridges open with knives or nails, sacrificing speed for imagined safety. Others, paralyzed by fear, refused to use captured rounds at all, leaving themselves defenseless as Union troops advanced. The lie festered in the rumor-choked fog of war, where truth rarely survived. The real cause of the bitter taste and bleeding mouths was far simpler yet just as brutal. Union paper was standard stock, sometimes treated with potassium nitrate, a gunpowder ingredient leaving a harsh metallic but harmless residue. Lime was never used. The true damage came from the act itself. Corrosive black powder and rough paper fibers grinding into lips, gums, and cheeks with each desperate bite. In prolonged fights, like the slaughter at Burnside's Bridge or the trench warfare at Petersburg, soldiers bit cartridges dozens, even hundreds of times. The repeated abuse tore their mouths into raw, bleeding wounds, ripe for infection. Chronic thirst, meager rations of rock-hard hardtack and salt pork, and the squalor of army life magnified the suffering. For Union troops trapped in Cold Harbor's blood-soaked trenches, the real enemy wasn't imagined poison, but the grinding physical toll, each bite leaving lips cracked and gums bleeding, the foul mix of gunpowder and blood, a bitter testament to battle's brutality. Every savage tear of paper was a step toward firing another deadly minie ball across the smoke-choked field. This harsh necessity drove firearms innovation. The bite's flaws, self-mutilation, vulnerability to rain, like the downpour before Gettysburg, and slower reloads, spurred the shift to revolutionary designs. Breech-loading rifles and metallic cartridges, like the Union cavalry's rapid-fire Spencers, made the old ways obsolete. A soldier need only slot a brass round, snap the breech shut, and fire. No more biting or ramming. So why did they endure it? Because amid the slaughter at Malvern Hill or the Hornet's Nest, speed meant survival. Because fear could turn paper into a phantom weapon, haunting Confederate ranks. And because that act, tearing with teeth, choking on powder, tasting blood, became the war's sensory signature, intimate, relentless, and raw. A small violence done to oneself to unleash greater violence on the enemy, just paces away. What an incredible journey through one of the darkest, most visceral realities of the Civil War. The image of soldiers biting down on bullets, not to load their rifles, but to endure unimaginable pain, is something that stays with you. It forces us to confront the true human cost of war, far beyond the battles and strategies we often focus on. These men weren't just soldiers, they were sons, brothers, and fathers, enduring horrors we can barely fathom today. If this video gave you a new perspective on history, don't let it end here. Smash that like button to help others discover this story, and subscribe if you're not already part of our community. We're dedicated to uncovering history's raw, unfiltered truths, the kind that rarely make it into textbooks. Every click, like, and share supports this channel and helps us keep bringing these forgotten stories to light. Now, we want to hear from you. What shocked you the most about this video? Had you ever heard of soldiers biting bullets for surgery before? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one.